Hey everybody, in today's lesson we're going to be really diving into the chord progression to the blues song Key to the Highway. Now this is a unique blues progression in the fact that it's an 8-bar blues versus your standard 12-bar blues. So over here to the right, this is Band in the Box. This is what it looks like. This is the program that I use to make my jam tracks. And if you want to learn more about Band in the Box, just go to P as in Paul, G as in goat, so pgmusic.com. And you can learn all about Band in the Box there. So what we've got here is each little box here, right? That's a measure, or what's called a bar, right? Same thing, one measure, one bar. So we've got A chord for a bar. Now notice I have 7 for all these. These are dominant 7th chords. So we have A7 for a bar. Then immediately goes to your 5 chord, your E7 chord. We're in the key of A, keep that in mind. And then 2 bars of your 4 chord, your D7 chord. Then back to your 1 chord A, 5 chord E, 1, 5. And this is your turnaround, last 2 bars. Okay, so 8-bar blues progression. This is just the ending, don't worry about that. 8-bar blues, but the big thing that really makes it stand out is that, right, that going to that 5 chord right after the 1 for a bar. So this song really it really kind of makes you want to play over each chord versus just playing like your standard minor pentatonic kind of soloing, right? So that being said, over here, what I've done is I've written out a chord tone chart, and all this is available, the jam track, not the Band in the Box, but the jam track, the chord chart, the tablature, all that on my new site, lwtstreaming.com. And what I've done here is I've taken each chord, the A7 chord, the D7 chord, the E7 chord, also known as in the key of A, your 1, 4, and your 5 chord. And I've made patterns for basically arpeggios of the dominant 7th chord. So we've got A, C sharp, E, G. That's your root, major 3rd, 5th, flat 7. That makes up that bluesy A7 chord. Sounds like this. Kind of have to hit that green 3 there to make it sound like this, you know, where you get the 3rd in there. Anyways, so we've got a blue color shape. Now notice how that's the exact same pattern on all your necks. All these colors, they coordinate. The red pattern is the same as the red pattern here, is the same as the red pattern there, right? And I did that so that you can tell, all you got to do is remember where your root notes are at, right? These are A notes, okay? Your 7th fret is your A chord. So these are all A notes here. Same thing in red, your A notes, the root, the R, your A notes on your 2nd and your 5th string. In blue, it's on your 1st, 4th, and 6th. And in the green pattern, it's just on your 3rd string. Okay? Same thing when you go here. These root notes, these are all D notes, right? So that makes this D pattern here. So when you're playing this, let's say play the red pattern over a D. I would suggest to maybe start on the 3rd, go to the root, flat 7, 5th, 3rd, root, flat 7, 3rd. But I'm going to be showing you some licks and some ideas. I don't have these licks written out. I do have, you know, the performance written out in tablature that you heard. But on this one, I'm just going to be showing you some ideas of how to think about these chord tones. Okay, so the chord progression to Key to the Highway, 1 chord to your 5 chord. It's a real quick thing. What we really want to do is we want to do what's called playing over the chord progression, right? Playing, basically highlighting notes in each chord that really makes the listener hear that chord versus playing out of just a scale, you know, where you're not really worried so much about the chords. So we want to nail this A chord to an E chord, A7 to an E7 chord. Well, the big thing that's really going to make those highlight those 2 chords is going from the flat 7, the G note, or your root, you know, either one of those, to the major 3rd of the E7 chord. That's that major third, that G sharp. A G sharp is not in any of the other chords, so it's really going to make that E7 chord stand out, right? So say if you're playing. So what I like to do, one idea is nail that root note over the A chord, right? Now let's go down to the E7 chord. Okay, now we're going to do, remember how we did that minor third, major third thing over the A chord? Boom, boom. Well, if we do that over the E chord, what that does is that takes us in this position for our 7th fret position. My 7th fret, I mean this straight bar. And we're not moving to another blue shape. That's what you do a lot of times when you're starting off, but right now we're moving to a different shape. We're moving to the red shape. And we're nailing that E7 chord without even moving our bar, really, because we're outlining the major third of that E7 chord, that G sharp, and then we can go this diagonal line here and nail the root of it. Okay, so we got A, root note. It immediately goes to E7, and we go minor third, major third, root. Now check this out. If I walk that root down to the flat 7, and we bump up here to my D7 chord, the flat 7 of my E7 chord becomes the root note of my 4 chord. So now with just a few notes, without moving our bar very much, we've totally highlighted each chord. It's going to sound like this: 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then so that really highlights that chord progression there. So if we hear it with the jam track, it sounds like this. Okay, so once again, let me play that. And keep in mind, I'm hitting root note in blue, this blue shape. Not doing much other than just hitting that root note. Going down here, minor third, major third, root. Walking the root down, bum, 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 to the flat 7 of the E7 chord, but that hits right on beat 1, meaning that's going to be the root note of my D7 chord. And then we have the D7 chord for a couple bars, so we could maybe do something crazy and slide up to the blue shape, or maybe do something in this red shape if we wanted to. Let me show you that. So what was I doing there? Well, over that A chord, we've already went over all that. When I hit the D chord, right, I walk that down, bum, bum, bum. Now, I'm over that D chord here. I just slid up and do some slidey things over basically what I did there is I walked this pattern down, root, flat 7, 5th, flat 3rd, major 3rd, root. Sometimes I'll go, slide that 5th down, right? Just kind of this snaky, slidey thing, right? Root, flat 7, 5th, kind of blue note, then minor 3rd, major 3rd, root. Now, then I went back to that A chord, just a straight bar, nothing real crazy there, right? But then, then over this E7 chord, what did I do there? Well, remember how we talked about that 5th blue note, flat 5, 4, back to the 5th, minor 3rd, major 3rd, this?
That's exactly what I did over that E7 chord. Bum, 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 dum. And then when I went back to that A chord, minor third, major third, root, and then the walk down, the turnaround, always starts on the flat 7. Flat 7 of your 1 chord, right? Bum, bum. So, what are we at? 5th fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. Then when we're there, let's pop down to the 5 chord. Then we're right over that 5 chord. Boom, doom. Then I just minor third, major third, root.